Guys, is this beautiful or what? Has this postseason just been like the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? Or, you know what? We come into this postseason thinking like, okay, we're about anywhere from 90 to 95% sure that the Warriors are probably going to win the championship. They've got a little bit more challenges now with the Rockets out there, but if everything goes as it should, the Warriors should probably win. And then we still end up with all these surprises. You know, check this out right here. So when I did my predictions about 2 weeks ago when the playoffs first started, I was all bright-eyed and naive, and this is what I said the playoffs were gonna look like, and this is what they look like now. And wait, you haven't heard the best part yet. The basketball gods aren't even done fucking my bracket up yet. It actually could get a lot worse than this. So I figured before things get any crazier and Donovan Mitchell just turns into Michael Jordan and happens to win the next 4 against the Rockets, or Kyrie Irving's knee magically heals and they come back and sweep the Sixers, before this bracket looks any worse, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the events that have happened and what surprised me. And it's not in the title, but we're also going to talk about what hasn't surprised me, which brings me to the point of why I waited until 11 o'clock on the night of the Cavaliers and Raptors game to record this video, because I wanted to see how that series was going to start. We just got done with, okay, this is an actual surprise, we got done with a 7-game series with the Cavaliers and Pacers, and I said that that series was going to be 5 games at best for the Cavaliers. I thought they had nobody for LeBron James, and I just thought the Cavaliers were going to breeze their way through that. And then, of course, Tristan Thompson doesn't play like any of the series until Game 7. Oladipo and Bogdanovic, they pushed the Cavaliers to 7 games, and they nearly won it. They came within a few plays of nearly winning that series, so big surprise right there. The Pacers definitely have my respect. But that wasn't the only thing that surprised me in that series. I wasn't just surprised that the Pacers had pushed Cleveland so far, I was also surprised that Cleveland looked so damn bad. Up until Game 7, when they finally got smart and subbed Tristan Thompson in, who has been giving them valuable minutes ever since they finally decided to give him some playoff action, I just did not think that I would ever use the 2018 Cavaliers and the 2007 Cavs in the same sentence, because in that first round they were looking a hell of a lot like, you know, not even like, they were looking worse than the 2007 Cavs. If you can jog your memory back that far, you know, they didn't have a lot of offensive talent, but everyone still had a role. They had Ilgauskas and they played defense. And for 6 of the 7 games of the Pacers series, actually all the way until the 7th game, because LeBron still had to have like an all-time performance to win that, it just did not look like there was anything but the LeBron system. And when he sat out in Game 7 for 5 minutes with that cramp or whatever, I definitely thought it was over. But anyways, what I took from that is, okay, they're in the 2nd round now, they're up here with the Raptors. This is the series we knew was going to happen, because to get any further ever in the Eastern Conference, Toronto is going to have to go through LeBron James as long as he's there. And we're like, okay, there's no more Kyrie Irving on the Cavaliers, they're playing terrible defense, everything is running through LeBron, and then you have Toronto, who's had probably, I believe this is their best season in franchise history, right? It's the first time they've been first in the Eastern Conference, they've got a good bench this year. Cleveland is coming into this game, I believe they were like the worst in point production in the playoffs right now. So everything is beautifully set up for the Toronto Raptors to finally just breeze past Cleveland. And just like I said, LeBron does whatever the fuck he wants with these guys. So the Raptors blow their lead and they lose Game 1 at home to the Cavaliers, and in case you were wondering, that falls under the not surprising category for me. I'm not surprised at all. Toronto right now is on the same side of the coin that LeBron was about a decade ago when he could never get past the Celtics. It's to that point where no matter what he does in the regular season, he's got to prove that he can get past them in the playoffs no matter how bad they look. And right now that's where the Raptors are. No matter how good they've done to this point, and no matter how bad the Cavaliers look coming into the series, they still have to beat them, and now they've already lost home court advantage. That didn't take any time at all. So back to the surprising side, where does that leave us in the East picture? Because although the Raptors looked like the better team and they're now down 0-1, you go to the other side of the bracket and the Celtics actually advanced past the Bucks in 7. If you go back to my original predictions, I thought the Bucks were going to win that series in 7, so it's not like I completely dismissed Boston. I just thought it was going to go to 7 and the Bucks and Giannis were going to take it. It happened the other way. Jaylen Brown was out with a hamstring, and they've already have a 1-0 lead on the Sixers, and they pretty much dominated Philly in the first game. So to the point we're at right now, which is 11 p.m. Eastern on May 1st, and the Pelicans and the Warriors are playing right now, the Eastern Conference is wide open for the first time in, man, I don't even remember. I don't remember the last time we had a playoff year where all 4 teams left in the East up to this point could realistically make the finals. And that's on the surprising side, because think about this. You could make a compelling argument for every team left in the East right now to make the finals. You really could. The Cavaliers are the LeBron show, we know that. And in this game, since they've changed the lineup, to their credit, they have LeBron starting at point guard now, it looks like, and they have Tristan Thompson in the lineup, so he's not on the bench anymore. So I think that's given them a bit of a boost. They're definitely better than what they were rolling out for most of the series against the Pacers. But anyways, that's just by default, right? LeBron has been to what, the last 7 finals, so no matter what the odds look like, they always have somewhat of a chance to make the NBA Finals. They don't have any chance to win it, that's not going to happen, but they have a chance to make it. So then you could also say, well, but Toronto is the better team, and they should definitely get, at barest minimum, they should get 2 games in this series, and they should probably push this to a game 7 or even win it. And you can rationalize that. We've never seen the Raptors beat the Cavaliers, but you're still looking at this going, they're the better team this year. If they could just execute and get over this hump, they could beat the Cavaliers and they'd be in the East Finals. Then on the other side, you look at Philly, and in the first round, they were looking great. You had Ben Simmons and Joel doing their thing, and they're surrounded by sharpshooters. And they come into this series with Boston, who is just extremely well coached. Like, what other team can come into a series missing their 2-star players? They were missing probably their 6th man and then a rotation player, and they're still 3 wins away from the conference finals. Like, where else do you see that? Right now, they're going to get Jaylen Brown back hopefully sometime this series. From what you just saw in game 1, you could rationalize them beating Philly and ending up in the Eastern Conference Finals. And at the point that they end up in the East Finals, a lot of people didn't think that they definitely didn't think they would get out of the second round, but it was a challenge to see them get out of the first. So at the point that they would be in the East Finals, who's to say that they wouldn't make it all the way? And then of course there's Philly, who I still think, like, even down 0-1, like, there's the whole prisoner of the moment thing and recency bias. Who knows what people are thinking right now, but I know just last series, everyone was saying they thought Philly was going to make the finals, so you can definitely rationalize that squad being there too. So you've got 4 squads, all of which kind of have an equal chance to make the finals right now, and then you look over to the West, and it's like, look, it's either the Warriors or the Rockets, okay? If nobody gets hurt on either of those squads right now, there's really no chance that the Rockets lose to the Jazz, and there is no chance that Steph Curry, he's just returning, there's no chance that they lose a series to the Pelicans. Regardless of how many games they lose in those series, yeah, they're not going to lose the actual series. And yeah, I'm a little bit like fearful saying that after after looking what happened in the first round. Let's go ahead and get to those surprises, because the first round is done now, but I did want to talk about just how damn crazy those were. If we back up in time and you look at the predictions I was making with the Blazers and Pelicans, what I thought there, anytime I call a series in 7 games, that means I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those teams in the second round. I thought it could go either way. And then the Pelicans just turned out and just fucking mollywopped Portland. Like, if we could go back a million times, I would always pick that to be a 7-game series. I would never pick the Pelicans to sweep. And Rondo turned on his playoff mode. Anthony Davis, like, I swear to God, every time I turned on the TV, he was dunking on that poor boy, Nurkic, I think that is. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, Nurkic. That was just a crazy series to see. So they're in the second round duking it out with the Warriors right now. And at the moment, the score is, I believe it's tied, but you never know what the Warriors run. They could be down by 30 by the time I finish talking. But okay, what was even more significant than what happened in the Pelicans and Blazers series was what actually happened in the Jazz and Thunder series. I take the full brunt of that L for saying that was going to be a tune-up series for the Thunder, because yeah, man, that did not go anywhere. That didn't even go close to how I thought it was going to go. But the significant thing that happened there is I can totally see why the Rookie of the Year race is so damn close now. For most of the year, if you go on my Twitter, you'll see that I've been a full advocate for Ben Simmons for the Rookie of the Year. I thought he did a lot more than Mitchell, as opposed to Mitchell really just being more of a scorer. But okay, Rookie of the Year it's a regular season award, just like MVP. So no matter what happens in the playoffs, in theory, I believe the voting is already done, so that can't what happens now can't influence it. But after watching the Jazz series, I can completely see now why people are pushing so hard for Mitchell to be the Rookie of the Year. It isn't necessarily that I've switched and I think he's better than Ben Simmons, but man, when you talk about doing everything to lead your team past the more talented team on paper, pretty handily too. Like, they did it in 6 games, it could have easily been 5, they just blew that big lead. Then you have 38 in a closeout game, and this is all as a rookie. Mitchell is, you know, I know they all say Ben Simmons isn't a rookie, but watching Mitchell, I'm like, damn, this is suspect. Was he playing last year? Was he sitting on somebody's bench? But now I see it though. It's something that you really have to watch to see, because he may not rebound like Simmons, he may not even play defense like Simmons or pass like Simmons, but it's pretty much the same reason why the LeBron and Kobe debate was always neck and neck, because LeBron clearly did more. He always had more rebounds and assists. He clearly did more than Kobe, you know, as far as an overall game, but Kobe was always there with the leadership and the intensity and the scoring as well, and it just kept them neck and neck. It's really hard to explain. When you just watch them every night, it kept them neck and neck. And switching back and forth between Simmons series and Mitchell series, I can completely see why it's on an even keel now. So switching back to the East, I wanted to talk about something I'm kind of identifying for the future, because Boston has came out, no matter what you say, you can tell me I was sleeping on my own team or I never believed in them, man, whatever. Bro, they didn't have Kyrie coming in, they didn't have Marcus Smart, they didn't have Hayward, they didn't have Tice. I wasn't about to just pick Boston to possibly be an Eastern Conference Finals team just because I want them there. I wasn't about to just blindly do that. But I wanted to look at what Terry Rozier is doing, because man, Rozier, talk about taking control of your chance. And it's kind of like a good thing for Boston and a bad thing at the same time, because he's under contract for 1 more year, meaning next year, like, Boston has a situation. You know, I've been talking about it all year. I've been saying like, okay, you got Gordon Hayward coming back, but Tatum and Brown have already proved that these are 2 starting pieces. So what's going to happen there? Are we going to put Hayward on the bench, or is Tatum going back to the bench, or are you going to start them all and have one playing small ball as a power forward? And then you look at Terry Rozier now. Well, there's no chance he's going to start, because he's not going to start over Jaylen Brown. He's definitely not going to start over Kyrie Irving. And the guy is clearly he might be a little bit more than a bench player, than a 6-man. And this big surprise where he's helped lead Boston to where they are, it's a really nice surprise. But now I'm wondering, let's put it this way. I'm hoping that he can maybe convince himself to take a Manu Ginobili role, which I know is totally asinine and irrational and probably not going to happen. But it's like, you can take a big contract with a sorry team in a few years and go start there and maybe never be heard from again. Or you can stay here where Boston is looking like they're going to be overflowing with talent soon, because think about when they're healthy. You see them playing right now and how good the young guys look. Imagine when they have a full roster. This is going to be a serious contender for not only the East, but definitely a championship next year. But I don't think anybody's going to blame him for taking more money in a couple of years when his contract is up, because role players, you know, your NBA career is only so long, and if you're not a superstar, you really got to be thinking about getting as much money as you can, because it has to last you the rest of your life. So I'm not going to be mad, but damn, it's disappointing, because in all likelihood, with this little surprising explosion in the playoffs is that Boston is probably going to have to trade him sooner than later, because when you come up to 2019, you're going to say, okay, this is going to be an amazing player that's possibly going to be up for free agency. And do you let him walk and get nothing? Because you know that the chances of him staying in a smaller role for less money with all he's shown that he can do, that's a very small chance. So you're probably going to have to cash him out for assets next year before the trade deadline in February. And it sucks, because I feel like that's the same exact conversation we were having about Marcus Smart before the trade deadline. And it's like, man, could you just imagine if, like, you know, growing roles and all this just wasn't a thing? Because then you could have Marcus Smart, Kyrie Irving, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all these guys on one team, and they're all young. These are all young players. You could have them grow and really do something special in the East for a very long time. So it sucks that that's not very likely, but man, this has been a pleasant surprise in the playoffs. So things are very interesting right now. Like I said, it's wide open. The Cavaliers are 1 LeBron ankle sprain away from being beat in 4 straight games and being sent home. The Toronto Raptors are 1 LeBron James ankle sprain away from finally beating a LeBron James led team. And the Celtics and Sixers, I'm not going to write the Sixers off after 1 game. They got beat pretty bad in game 1, and Jaylen Brown wasn't even playing, so that's probably a little bit discouraging if you're a Philly fan. But let's just see, because Boston, they look like a different team on the road. when they went out against the Bucks, you know, they lost every road game. They haven't won a road game yet. So if you're the Sixers, the goal right now should just be do everything you can to get game 2 and go from there, because if you can get a home game for Boston, who knows what it'll look like. So anyways, those are my surprises and not surprises, aka Toronto being owned by LeBron James. Yeah, that's what I've seen in the playoffs so far. And leave in the comments what surprised you and what you think the rest is gonna look like. Who you think is going in the finals, mostly in the East, because I'm not that curious about the West. I have my belief that the Warriors are going, and that's just where I am. So, and everyone knows it's about to be Houston and the Warriors in the conference finals, but in the East, it's a much more interesting situation. It could still be an assortment of different teams. So make sure to leave your comments below who you think is going, what surprised you. Hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.